Minister English, it seems bizarre to be welcoming you to our chamber when we're in your chamber, but it is a wonderful surroundings, awe-inspiring. I very much welcome this legislation, and I suppose small businesses, as has been said by so many of us here today, are the significant contributors to employment across our country. As the Minister has said, they account for over 99% of the total number of enterprises and 69% of those persons engaged. There is a significant contribution to our economy and to the employment of people of all ages. But let's remember that the micro-enterprises of less than 10 employees with small turnovers, these are the small businesses that are in our rows of shops, in our local estates and communities. They're in our small villages, and even those small villages that are within the city and the suburbs of Dublin City, the likes of the Temple Oaks, the Drimnas, the Crumlins. It's those villages that that these micro-enterprises are located in. They have been recognised as being particularly agile in their responsiveness to market changes and in terms of their service offering. I think we've seen it particularly during the pandemic that these companies pivoted from their usual goods and services provision to being able to adapt to allow for an online offering to deliver to different markets. We have companies suddenly doing home deliveries that never contemplated that before. But the pandemic brought about also a sudden and dramatic halt to business that none of us could have anticipated earlier this year. And I believe that could have had a chilling effect on the risk-taking in entrepreneurial spirit, the risk-taking in enterprise. And so having the expansion of the Microenterprise Fund is a very positive commitment and a very confidence building measure by government to expand and to say we're here to promote and to assist you as you take the risk. We're going to support you behind that. Throughout the last 12 weeks, I'm a small business owner myself, but I've consulted and supported many businesses, particularly in the Dublin South Central constituency, that is my constituency, and as they work to keep afloat and keep in contact with their employees and make sure that occurred. And they repeatedly stressed their need to access a funding where, because of their size, it is onerous and they need to procure the funding supports. And as an aside to that, and as you've invited feedback, I would bring to your attention that some founders of small businesses in February, anticipating that there may be a cash flow issue coming down the tracks very quickly, they sought to forgo their own salaries at the end of February. The consequence was that the criteria for access to the temporary wage subsidy put them outside of that criteria, and the very people who sacrificed to keep their own employees engaged are now without the benefit of the subsidy. And I'd ask you, Minister, to please examine that. That's come to me from a couple of businesses. I certainly concur with Senator Darcy, and as echoed by others, that we need to extend the temporary wage subsidy, and I would ask for a lengthy extension and some sort of permanence to the rates waiver for SMEs. One of the things that I would like to draw to your attention is also that the cost of business, which is obvious, it's I'm sure we know that we all know that, but the cost of doing business now is very different. Not only do we have to anticipate, the best and the worst case scenario of doing business, but there is this implied cost of health and safety and the provision of health and safety for both customers and for their employees. And I suppose in that is going to change the criteria in balance sheets or projected balance sheets when there are applications made for this fund. And I would ask that that's considered, that the adjustment is made, that what are the normal profit and loss anticipations and the expenses anticipation, that's going to be different now, and that is catered for and considered. And lastly, I just would welcome that we have the return, as you are the Minister in all things employment now, that we have the welcome return of the Workplace Relations Commission. And I would maybe invite a comment from you that, given that a number of the inspectorate from the Workplace Relations Commission were deployed to the HSA for ensuring COVID-19 compliance in employment, how are we going to get that inspectorate back and still keep the balance of the two? And perhaps one of the ways of doing that is to highlight and promote the whistleblowing legislation. Thank you, Minister.
Senator